Chronos has been a bad boy, and he needs to be punished. Wait a minute, is that really the script? Who made this thing? Hello everybody, it's me, it's PokemonTripHD, and welcome back to some more Dragalia Lost content. In today's video, I am going to be showing you how I got the clear on both Chronos Clash Nyx and Chronos Clash the normal one. So this is of course for the solo modes on Omega difficulty. Now I do just want to say it's a very difficult fight, so if you're trying to get this clear and you can't really do it, maybe you're too new, you don't have the right team, or maybe you just don't have the raid boost, etc. I will be discussing everything about this fight here in a minute. So on the screen right now, I'm actually going to have timestamps of the three different segments to this video. The three different segments will include, the first segment is going to be me discussing raid boosts and what I think about them, more specifically the rare raid boosts. The second part of this video is going to be me taking on the Chronos Clash, the raid one, and of course in solo. And then the third part and final part of this video will include me taking on Chronos Clash Nyx, of course Omega on solo, and of course my thoughts, my tips, everything to help you out. And of course these are all going to be including a budget clear, so you can probably get these clears if you have these teams. I did try to make them as easily accessible as possible. I also want to say that if you can't clear with the budget team that I provide, maybe because your team is a little bit different, facility levels are off, etc., do just keep in mind you can just get more of the rare raid boosts and you should be able to clear it that way. So without further ado, let's actually just begin discussing the raid boosts. So if you don't know, raid boosts, there is a lot of them. Now there's 7 rare raid boosts and then there's 4 normal ones. So I'm going to go ahead and discuss them all. As you can see on screen, there's going to be a little image and it shows you when you clear raid event quests, you'll be able to get buffs called raid boosts. There are multiple raid boosts. They have various effects such as upgrading your team's strength and HP. There are also even more powerful boosts called rare raid boosts. So basically, every time you complete a quest in this event, the Fractured Futures event, you will get a raid boost, and they go up to a certain maximum number. And after you get that maximum number, you will no longer receive any of the raid boosts. However, you can still get rare raid boosts. You can get these at any time until you've attained all 7. Of course, you only need to get these boosts one time, and then they will stick with you throughout the remainder of the Fractured Futures event. Now, the 4 original raid boosts that you are guaranteed to, well, not guaranteed, but you should max them out, and that's kind of like the prerequisite to actually taking on Omega difficulty. You should max these 4 out. It lets your damage be up to plus 100%, your HP up to plus 50%, Shapeshift Prep up to plus 25%, and Dragon Time up to plus 50%. Those are the 4 original kind of raid boosts, and now there are 7 rare raid boosts. Now, none of these rare raid boosts are actually needed to get any of the Omega clears. However, they make your life a lot easier, so I do recommend at least getting 1 or 2 of them to actually go for this Omega clear. Of course, if your team is a little bit more on the weaker side or a little bit newer of a player, I do recommend you get more of the rare raid boosts. Again, it's just going to make your life easier the more you have. However, these rare raid boosts have a really low chance to drop. I would say the drop rate is around 1% to get a rare raid boost. Now, of course, you can get these in any quest. So the strategy that I show in the video, on the side, is actually just doing beginner Cyclops and just, spending a bunch of skip tickets. If you do it that way, you're going to get a rare drop eventually. It might take a lot of stamina, as it, did in this video. It took me quite a lot of stamina, but you'll get it eventually. I don't know if this is the most efficient way. Let me know what you guys think. What's the most efficient way to get rare raid boosts? Because honestly, I'm not sure. That's just, what I did. Also, for this video, I do want to mention I used 3 rare raid boosts, and that is Dragon's Bane, critical rate plus 15%, critical damage plus 20%. Also, Dragon's Bane is plus 50%. So that's already 3 of the rare raid boosts. And then the other remaining 4, because like I said, there are 7, is Overdrive Punisher and Broken Punisher. So those, 2 Punisher abilities along with the Dragon's Bane abilities. I would say the 2 best raid boosts, honestly, are the Overdrive Punisher and the Dragon's Bane. So if you get one of those 2, you should be in the clear. And then the remaining 2 will be Skill Damage plus, I believe, 25%, and then Skill Haste plus 20%. So those are all the rare raid boosts. Of course, some of these combo well together, like the Skill Haste and skill damage, along with the crit rate and crit damage. Some of them just combo really well together. And then there's two just really good ones being Dragon's Bane and Overdrive Punisher. Those are very good because, of course, for the majority of the Omega Clash fights, Chronos will be in Overdrive. So Overdrive Punisher is probably the best single one. So those are all the rare raid boosts. Like I said, they're not necessary to complete this fight. However, they make your life a lot easier. Now then, let's actually begin discussing, Chronos Clash, the raid one. So this is the raid one. The team that I used is right here on the screen. Like I said, this is sort of a budget team. Now for this team, it's not completely budget in the sense that you would expect, mainly because I'm using a 5-star Dragon Shinobi. I also have all 5-star weapons on my adventures. Of course, Lowen's is the Void weapon, but the other 3 are the core elemental 5 stars. I'm also using Max and Minded, Worm Prince, and etc. So it's not completely budget. However, the adventures are all 4 stars and all free to play. You just got Audric, Botan and Alex are free, and then Lowen is a 4-star gacha character. So in that sense, it is budget. All the dragons are 4-star except Shinobi. I'm using a Max and Binded Shinobi. That is a 5-star, so it's a little bit of a stretch. But again, if you don't have a Max and Binded Shinobi, what you can do instead is use, 4-star Max and Bind Juggernaut or even Parallel Zodiac, whatever you want to use, and then just get more of the rare raid boosts. Because again, for this video, I'm only using 3 out of the 7 rare raid boosts. So if you have a little bit worse team, just use those rare raid boosts, or maybe if you have a little bit worse adventures or dragons, whatever, you need to compensate with either your adventures or your dragons, depending on which one you're doing, or the rare raid boosts. Those help a ton. I just keep repeating myself with those raid boosts, but like I said, they're really important, especially for newer players to get this clear. Now, as for the team itself, the dragons I'm using from left to right would be Shinobi, Juggernaut, and Lowen. The adventures from left to right are Audric, Alex, Botan, and Lowen. And the Worm Prince, again, from left to right would be the Shining Overlord, the Visions Worm Print that we just got for free, I don't remember its name, Twinfold Bonds, Jewels of the Sun, Heralds of Hinamoto, Luca's Prank, Give Me Your Wounded, and then again the 4-star print that is in the Blazon Summon box, Max and Binded on Lowen. So I don't remember its name, but the one featuring Cassandra, Mommy. Anyways, so like I said, this is the Chronos Clash raid version. I believe this one is actually easier than the other one. Of course, that's just my opinion. I think it's a little bit easier. A lot of people would agree with me saying it's a little bit easier. For this fight, you're gonna get Dragon a lot, and there's different strategies to this fight. You can either Dragon with your healer, and if it's Phoenix or Freya or whatever, you can use that as a heal. However, I would not recommend doing that. I actually recommend Dragoning with your DPS, whoever it is. If you're bringing someone like Audric or maybe Gala Prince, or you can bring. I've actually cleared with Zanefried while I was testing a bunch of budget clears. You can clear with Zanefried, especially with the new Worm Print with Dragon's Claws on him. Mim probably works as well. I haven't tested her out myself, but there's tons of different strategies you can use. Dragon Claws is a great one. If you're using a sword, you can run the Shining Overlord, which again brings Dragon's Claws as well as skill damage plus 40%, so it's a real big boon. So the main strategy for this fight, the raid fight on solo, of course, is that you're going to have to be running and switching from hand to hand. Honestly, this fight I feel like is so much more simple than Nyx. The Nyx fight is actually really difficult. All you need to do for this fight is have at least one iframe ready for when he, punches the ground with his hand, and just be sure you're on the other side of the hand. A good strategy to do for this fight is actually breaking the left hand, and then you can just stay on the left for the remainder of the fight if you're not sure which hand he's gonna, hit the floor with. So you just stay on the left after you break it, because then it's gonna do very minimal damage, especially if you're using a healer like Lowen. Lowen is actually an amazing healer for this fight, since he brings your HP of your entire team up, as well as having a defense buff, which you could do some double buff shenanigans depending on your team composition. But Lowen is just very good for this fight. If you're not using Lowen, another great healer is Heinwald. He's Shadow. He offers some DPS to the fight as well. So there's plenty of healers out there. You don't need a healer for this fight specifically. I would say for Nyx, you do need a healer, but for this fight, you do not need a healer. It's just recommended that you do bring a healer, because it makes your life a lot easier, since the AI tends to get hit a lot, and even yourself, you might get hit once or twice if you guess the wrong hand or whatnot. So he punches with his left hand first, always, after the volcano phase. So that's something you should always dodge. Be aware of that. And yeah, that's pretty much all the tips I have for this fight. Like I say, all you really do, the strategy is just to keep switching and have enough DPS on your team so you can actually get the fight and win it. Again, Overdrive Punisher is amazing for this fight, and it really does help you out. So yeah, that's all the tips I have for the raid version. All right, now let's hop into Chronos, Nyx Clash, Omega Solo, of course. Now this team from left to right is Alex, Sazanka, Botan, and Sinoa. Now this team is, like I said, they're all 4 stars or free to play, so you should be able to have all these adventures. Of course, Sazanka and Botan are from the New Year's event. The weapons from left to right are actually, they're all the core elemental. None of them are max and bind or anything, but they are all the core 5-star elemental. Dragons from left to right, 3 Juggernauts and then a Phoenix. The Worm Prince from left to right are Twinfold Bonds, Levin's Champion, Flower in the Fray, Kung Fu Masters, Resounding Rendition, Jewels of the Sun, the 4-star print that's in the Blazon box, and the Chocolatiers. Now then, let's actually discuss the clear itself. So this fight is actually a pretty challenging fight. Chronos Nyx it's very challenging actually. It's very hard for newer players specifically. However, if you're a newer player, I do recommend you get all of the raid boosts if you can, and that will help you get this clear. Really big tip I have for getting this clear is to iframe as many attacks as possible. Not only to keep yourself alive, but to keep the AI alive. The AI actually provides a ton of DPS for this fight. So if they die, you're missing out on a lot of potential DPS that you could have had. So if you iframe at the very last second, you can actually keep everyone from taking any damage at all. Now, as for DPS is actually a bit of a problem, especially when you're only using 4-star dragons like I did in this video. If you're using only 4-star dragons, you're probably going to have to end up using 4 DPS, adventures like I am, without bringing a healer. However, if you do have a 5-star adventure or a 5-star, dragon, you can actually afford to bring a healer, since that will probably increase your DPS, especially if you're bringing someone like Eyasu. I'm not sure if Natalie will work in this, since she needs to be a low amount of HP, but Eyasu, Galacleo, Veronica, Cassandra, whoever it may be, maybe Delphi, whoever it may be, they will up your DPS more than my adventurers are doing in this fight for me. So that is something you want to keep in mind. Again, I do recommend you actually bring a healer for this, whether you're bringing a healer or if you're bringing, a flame adventure with, with the Phoenix strategy. Either way will work, but you do need to keep your teammates alive, and they will take damage. It's not even a question of will they will take damage. So you're probably going to want to bring a healer or some sort of Phoenix strategy like I did in this video. I think Phoenix strategy is a little bit easier because it provides more DPS, as well as letting you actually use a flame adventure with good DPS like Sinoa or Mikoto or maybe Ramona or someone, whoever you want to use. Somebody with good DPS as well. You might be wondering, why Flame, why Phoenix? Well, of course, Flame for the Phoenix. You could also use Wind for Freya, but I do recommend Flame because he actually has a weak point. This happened a little bit earlier in the fight, which is during Overdrive. He has a sort of, the Zawaruda one, where he brings the world up and he's going to crash it on you and kill you, but you need to break his weak point. And if you do break his weak point, he will not just destroy you in the first second that he gets. So it's a wind weak point, and that's why you would want to bring a flame adventure with the flame dragon. So I don't actually recommend you bring a flame adventure unless you're using the Phoenix strategy. If you have a healer, then do not bring a flame adventure, because anyways, if you're not able to break the weak point using your shadow adventures, you're probably not going to have enough DPS to actually win this fight. Like this fight that I'm doing, I was barely able to beat the weak point. I think I beat it with a couple seconds left to spare, but just with that, I cleared this fight with like 2 seconds left. Now I did make a mistake towards the end, which you'll see. I let Botan die. It was all my fault, so it's not a deathless clear, but it is a clear. But you can easily get a deathless clear, like I said, with the rare raid boost, or just play a little smarter. Click your iframe, because the only reason I didn't live was because I didn't click my skill. So yeah, you can easily get yourself a deathless clear if you just click your skills. And those are most of the things I have to say. Again, you want to use your Phoenix mainly during the tornado phase of the fight. I would use the first Phoenix as soon as you're done with the weak points and you break that. I would use your first Phoenix and then use your second Phoenix right before the second tornado phase begins. Another thing to do is, if you're using Alex like I am, you would want to keep her at full HP for her skill damage boost, because again, she does get a skill damage boost at full HP. Alex is pretty good, but again, she's not paralysis resistance. There's a lot of paralysis resistance adventures in the game, and I do recommend you bring those instead. But Alex is, this is mainly for free-to-play kind of guides, so that's the reason I'm using Alex. But again, she's not paralysis resistance. I would really recommend you do bring paralysis resistance adventures, because when you're paralyzed, you can't transform and you're taking damage every once in a while. It'll also interrupt your chains, so you're not going to get off full chains because you will get hurt by paralysis, and it makes you kind of stop a little bit. So I do recommend you bring 4 paralysis resistance adventures, unless of course using the Phoenix strategy or whatnot. But yeah, that's kind of my tips on that. Also, bring a lance and an axe co-ability. The HP and the defense co-ability. They will help you survive. It's it's really recommended. If you don't bring both of them, bring at least one of them. It's mainly for the AI, not really for you, because the AI does have problems surviving. Especially if you have one of those 50 mana circle. Just bring one of them. That's good enough. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this fight. Good luck getting the clear. Let me know what teams worked for you and what tips you have for others in the comments. I would love to hear them. Me, myself, am I going to do this again to go for a 4-star Deathless clear? No, I'm not. I am more than happy with this. I could have got a Deathless if I really wanted to. So I am more than happy with the clear that I got. Again, good luck to you getting this clear. I'll see you guys tomorrow in the actual the co-op raid battle for this Omega difficulty. So I'll see you guys. And also, if you're wondering what the tips, or not the tips, the the items you get for winning this, your first clear, you get 5 Damascus crystals each for the solo, and then for the raids, you get 5 sunlight ores each. So you get a full Damascus ingot and a full sunlight stone for clearing these 4 fights. Anyways, that's everything. Have a great day, and until next time, have a nice trip.